Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? This is Brian McNeil, the sales confidence coach, and I want to enjoy this morning with you, but I want to have some good time, and I want to talk about something that matters. I got my cup of coffee here this morning, which is wonderful to have coffee in the gazebo in the morning, and I have a cigar as well, and I'm going to enjoy them both while I talk with you about how selling is a simple game, but selling is a simple game, but you know, I love football, and I've already cut my cigar. I love watching football, and it's a very simple game. It's blocking, it's tackling, it's scoring. Very simple strategy. I mean, it's some strategy too. And you have 11 guys at any given moment on the field that have trained all week long on how to score a touchdown. Okay? And at the same time, you have opposition, 11 other guys who've trained all week long to stop you from scoring your touchdown. So you have 22 world class athletes with completely different objectives. One of them wants to score a touchdown, these 11 guys. The other 11 guys wants to stop those 11 guys from scoring a touchdown. Selling is simple, but see, selling breaks down to, by the way, um, selling is different than marketing. Let's get that out the way first. Marketing is creating an awareness of. You're letting your marketplace know that what you have exists and that they can get it from you and they should get it from you versus somewhere else. Marketing is creating an environment where the right people can find out at the right time what you have to offer so that they can get it from you. That's why you do commercials. You don't pay when you watch a TV commercial, you don't give money to the TV commercial, but you're aware of the soda, you're aware of the car. You learn about those products and services, that insurance, those medicines, whatever. They market, even though you don't give the money to the TV, but you still have to market through the medium. Okay? Social media marketing. You don't get money for marketing, but you have to be aware, you have to create an awareness so that people could give you money. Now, the selling part of it is simply the getting the money in exchange for. Marketing, let's say the marketing has been effective and people are aware of it and they want to buy it. But then a sale has to happen. When they want to buy it, a sale has to happen. That means at some point, someone has to ask for business and give money. Selling is a simple game. Finding someone that wants what you have, offering it to them, asking for the money, and then getting the money in exchange for the thing. That's about it. Now, in each one of those areas, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Finding someone to buy is a marketing function. But then once you found someone, offering it to them is a selling function. You have to offer it to them. Will you give my stuff a try? Will you go on a date with me? Can I invite you to a date and you say yes? That is a selling activity. That's what that is. By the way, if you're in business and you earned your money through the exchange of something, selling something, and you don't drink coffee, and if you don't drink coffee, if you're in business, you're not going to be successful. My beautiful wife is on the other side of the screen from me, and I tell her all the time, babe, you're not going to make no sales until you start drinking coffee. She don't drink coffee, but she does make sales. Okay, she puts in a comment, really? Lena Janelle says, oh, I see now, that's right. Lisa says, selling is different than marketing. No diggity. Lena says, I missed the empowerment family session. Baby, it was a good one today. Um, it was a good one today. Hey, Brian, what's the theme for your session today? My theme is that selling is simple, but it's simple, but there's some things you have to do because there's opposition. You can prepare all you want to, just like a football team prepares all week. They get in shape, they design plays, they practice the plays, they know what they're going to do. But at the same time, the other team is practicing all week just as much time to stop you. Okay, so it's simple, but there's opposition. Now, our opposition today is not going to be pretty to you, but I'm going to tell you our chief opposition. The chief opposition to entrepreneurs today. Oh, it's just not pretty. But I'm having my cigar and I'm home in my safety. The chief opposition is wimpiness. Wimpiness. Wimpiness, yes. Wimpiness because to the typical entrepreneurs that I get to talk to, they don't want to risk being liked, so they won't ask for business. They won't even ask. They play it close. They'll hide behind popular tropes, like people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. They hide behind popular tropes like, don't go for the business. I mean, don't go for the sale. Go for the relationship. Keep working on the relationship, and the sales will happen naturally. Isn't that an interesting thought? There are a lot of people that you have great relationships with, and they know what you do, but they've never done business with you. Why not? Because they don't have a reason to. You don't have a reason to do business with you. They're just not gonna. Lisa, wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. Lena Janelle says, by the way, my last comment was in regard to the drinking coffee to be successful comment you said. I got it now. Okay. Good morning, Tripoli. How you doing? You don't have to be a cigar smoker to sell, but it does help. Um, I always talk about the coffee when it comes to sales because there's a popular sales movie, and it's called Glengarry Glen Ross. If you can't handle language, don't watch it because there's a lot of profanity in it. But it's a sales movie about these real estate salespeople, and they're sad sack. Most of them are not good at it. I mean, you can't sell the way they sell in that movie today, but they have this thing. They have this sales guru come into the office and give a talk, and he sees one of the guys get up from his talk to go to the back of the room to pour himself a cup of coffee, and he goes into a classic: "Put that coffee down. Coffee is for closers only. You think I'm messing with you? I'm not messing with you. I am here on a mission of mercy. You call yourself a salesman? Put that coffee down because coffee is for closers only." Lena Janelle says, this is good stuff. I love that film. I love that film too, but you can't sell like that. I love that film too. I love the whole speech, with uh, the Baldwin guy, James Baldwin guy. I love his whole speech, but there's just a lot of profanity and a lot of poor selling methods in the movie. They call on customers and they talking bad about customers before they even go with them, calling them deadbeats and those deadbeats never buy. And you can't sell today with an attitude like that. And then there's even getting on the phone with the customers like, well, you're the one that sent in the card. You can't make business like that. So there's a lot of poor selling methods in that movie. I like it to teach you. They even have a thing in that movie talking about the ABCs of selling. And sadly, this is a very popular concept in America. It got popular in the 70s and 80s and 90s even. The ABCs of selling. A, always, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing because there's only one thing that matters: to get them to sign on the line that is dotted. That's the line in the movie. But you can't always be closing. You can't today. Not in 2024. You have to be able to open today. You got to be able to open. You got to be able to not only find a need and fill it, which is an old trope, but you need to find the right need and fill it. Alina says, would you suggest the Wolf of Wall Street a better business mode to adopt? I know all those movies. I watched The Wolf of Wall Street probably 5 times. Okay. Now that is better selling methods, definitely way better methods than Glengarry Glen Ross. But the challenge with The Wolf of Wall Street is they weren't scrupulous, they weren't honest, and they weren't admirable people. They were just trying to make sales. They didn't care about the results or the shrapnel. Make these sales. Just keep the fantasy going. They sold stocks. Keep the fantasy going. Don't let them cash out. Don't let the game end. Wolf of Wall Street is a great movie. Great acting in it. And actually, there are several scenes in that movie I wish I was there because I think I would have handled it. Like at the end of the movie, where he's doing a sales training, and he comes off the stage, and he goes to a man in the audience, and he takes a pen out. He goes, "Sell me this pen." He hands it to him. He says, "Sell me this pen." And the guy goes, "It's a good pen. It helps you to write." And he takes the pen back. He goes to the next person. "Sell me this pen." You know, I wish he had asked me something like that. Sell me this pen. Johnny Carson, because I would have answered greatly, and I would have sold him his pen. Johnny Carson once had a guy named Joe Girard. How many of you guys old enough to remember Johnny Carson? Johnny Carson once had a guy named Joe Girard as a guest. At the time, Joe Girard had been the best salesman in the world for 11 years in a row, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. That's an old reference. The Guinness Book of World Records, they listed Joe Girard as the best salesman in the world for 11 years. And what he sold was cars. He sold Chevrolets out of Detroit, and he sold them one at a time. He had assistants. He had people waiting to buy from him. He had some beautiful business laws that I really, really like. I read his book and I listened to his tape series over and over again. His book was called How to Sell Anything to Anybody. But Joe Girard, Johnny Carson asked him a question on the show, and he says, "You're supposed to be the world's greatest salesman." He goes, "That's what Guinness says." So you can sell anything? Maybe we'll see. So Johnny Carson happened to have had an ashtray on his desk at the time. He says, "Sell me this ashtray" to Joe Girard. What a challenge day. And he says, "Johnny, do you need an ashtray?" He goes, "No, not for me. I don't smoke anymore, but my guests smoke from time to time." He says, "Well, for an ashtray like this, how much would you be willing to pay for an ashtray like that?" Johnny Carson said, "I don't know, maybe $2, $3." And Joe Girard says, "Congratulations, you bought yourself an ashtray." That was so easy. He secured a need. He got a rate that Johnny Carson was willing to pay. How much would you be willing to pay for it? Congratulations, you bought it. Not for himself, but for his guests from time to time. Simple sale. Okay? Yeah. Even terms like, I appreciate my beautiful wife saying, "Close that sale." This morning, I wrote something and then I submitted it through my AI, and they came out with stuff like "close the deal." It's my philosophy. Terms like closing the deal and pitching the client or pitching the customer and always be closing. Make the close, always be closing, pitch, slam them, those kinds of phrases. I want them gone. I'm softer than that. I'd rather use finesse than closing the sale. Even the term closing the sale or closing the deal, how do you feel when you say it? How do you feel when you read it? The way I would look at closing the sale, I would be like, earn the business or ask for the money or get the business or help them that way. Vinny Janelle says, "Yes, the pen scene." I'm writing this down about wimps in business in my Lisa Santiago McNeil voice. Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. I love that Carson story. Now, it's easy to get yourself out of the wimpy category. Entrepreneurial friends, you don't have to stay in the wimp category. It's very easy to get out of it. Here's how you get out of the wimpy category, entrepreneurs. Always resolve to do this one thing, and you will no longer be a wimp in business. Is to always ask for the business. Always ask for it. Just ask for it. Doesn't matter how well the presentation went, but just don't let an opportunity to earn business without you at least asking, for the business. Here's how I want you to ask, Lena. This is what I want you to say. Will you give my services a try? Will you give me a try? That's what I want you to say. Will you give us a try? Then shut your mouth and give them a chance to answer. When I do live workshops, it doesn't matter if it's 10 people. Yeah, hefty, hefty, hefty. That's funny, actually. She went from wimpy to hefty. That was the commercial. How many of you guys remember the strength of the hefty trash bag? Amen. That's funny to me. Tickled me. When I do a live workshop, doesn't matter if it's 10 people in the room, 100, 1,000, doesn't matter. Okay. But this is one of the popular illustrations I do. I will say, is there anyone in this room that has any cash? Hold it up. And people are all around the room, they'll hold up cash. And I'll pick somebody. I'll say, bring the cash up here. Come on up and come quickly. And I'm rushing. And for some reason, when I tell the person to bring the cash up, as they're coming up, everyone else is applauding them coming up. I didn't say applaud, but they just chose to do it. So they're applauding this person. They're coming up on stage, and she's bringing me cash. I said, okay, hand me the cash. She hands me the cash. I said, now put your body real close to mine so that the side of your body is touching my side. And she does that. I said, now put your arms around me and pull me to you, squeeze me to your body. And she does that. Now, while she's got her arms around me, squeeze me to her, I got both of my arms free. I got a mic in one hand sometimes, but I'm holding cash in the other. And I say to the audience, okay, what's going on this stage right now? What is happening? And they'll yell out some stuff. And then I'll say, what's actually happening is I got a pretty woman to come out of the audience, bring me money, and hug me in front of you. Now, how did I get that to happen? I didn't know her before this. We hadn't arranged nothing, but I got her to do it. How did that happen? Simply because I asked her to. She only did the things that I asked her to do. I asked her to bring me money. She did. I asked her to hug me. She did. I asked her to stand right there close to me. She did all those things. So many wimpy entrepreneurs. Uh, Thank you, Dr. Deborah. Dr. Deborah's probably seen me do it. She goes, I like that activity, Brian. It demonstrates the point well. Um, so many wimpy entrepreneurs do great presentations. They do great descriptions of what they have to offer. They do good at that. This is what I have. This is how it benefits you. They're really, really good at that. And then they stop too soon, Lena. They won't ask for the business. They won't say, will you give us a try? What they'll do is, we do this, this, and this, and I've been doing this, this, and this for this long, and I can do it for you too. And then they don't, and that's it. They just did a presentation. And then what happens is, and this, I really believe this is a crime. What they happens is, after they demonstrate what they do, and then they hope. They hope that the demonstration was so great that the client will say, hey, can I hire you? Can I buy from you? And they're just not gonna. You're wanting the clients to do your work for you. The other crime I see is even more sexy than the last one. This is a sexy crime. This is a romantic crime that I believe is being perpetrated now. Dr. Deborah, this is it. You can make sales without selling. You don't have to say anything. Just have a relationship with your clients and sales will happen. All you need is the right branding and the right funnel and the right website with the right colors. You don't have to sell anything and you'll make all the money. Doesn't that sound exciting? Doesn't that sound sexy? Doesn't that sound romantic? I can make sales without selling anything? Wow. The challenge I have with that is that information is normally put out to you by a sales presentation from someone else. Someone else is selling you on why their funnel makes it so that you don't have to sell. They're selling you on why you don't need to sell. While they're telling you you don't need to sell, they are selling. That's the challenge I have with that. You don't make sales by accident. And even then, the sales that may happen by accident, normally it's only in the case of an emergency or a weak sale. If your house is on fire and they're selling fire extinguishers, okay, it don't take much sales to do that. If your house is on fire and they offer fire, if you're an emergency, if you got a flat tire and you need to buy a tire, not much selling is happening. It has to happen because a sale is happening, yes, because the sale is the money in exchange for. So rarely do I get a chance to have coffee and a cigar in the morning. And praise God, I had a beautiful client that rescheduled. So it opened up my calendar, and I felt like I wanted a coffee and a cigar, um, but I want someone to talk selling. So I'm grateful for those of you guys who showed up. I am personally enjoying my coffee. I love my cigar, and I'm talking about my favorite subject. And over the laptop, I see the prettiest woman in the world. So I'm good. I'm good. Selling is a simple game, just like football is a simple game. Blocking and tackling, simple, but you got opposition. You got to make a sale. You got, and that's the other challenge too. When you get to that place where you gotta make a sale, oh my goodness, when you gotta make a sale, that's a problem because when the wolf is at the door, when bills are due, when you're at the place where if you don't make a sale or sell more often, you're going to have to quit doing your dream and go back to corporate America. When you're an entrepreneur, when you get to that place, if I don't make some more money, I'm going to have to swallow hard and tuck my tail between my legs and go back into corporate America. I did that 3 times. I didn't like it any time. Every time my business got to the place where I could no longer run it and I went back into corporate America, I did it because I needed the money to pay for my stuff, but I never liked it. Every time I did it, I felt defeated. I didn't like it. And then I just couldn't wait to get back out and try it again. But I've done it. And that's why I can counsel with love people that say, Brian, I'm going to have to take a job for a while. I say to them, I understand. I've done it myself 3 times. I understand. And sometimes that's the right move. Sometimes that's the right move for someone to not chase this now. Go ahead and get the job. But the challenge with the job is, two, more than 80% of Americans do not like the job they have. I've seen all kinds of studies. You can Google it yourself. Some studies say it's 85, some studies say it's 86, some studies even say as high as 90% of Americans do not like their job. Why such a high percentage of Americans that have jobs don't like their job? Why is it such a high percentage? What do you think? Why such a high percentage? Whether you believe it's 80, 85, whatever. Let's say it's exactly 80%. Why do 8 out of 10 Americans not like the job that they go to earn the money? Why don't they like it? I got theories. What say you? Why is it that most Americans don't like their job? Even though there was a moment when that job was exactly what they wanted. They applied for that job. And right before they got accepted, they really, really wanted it. And then when they got it, they were happy to have it because they got exactly what they wanted at the time. Brother Uzama submits, it's not what they're passionate about. That's definitely one of the reasons. 89% of Americans do jobs that they're not passionate about. Why do they do it? They do it because simply because they need the money. The best case scenario is when you can marry something that you're passionate about and make money doing it. When you can discover what brings you joy, that you would do it even if you weren't paid, but you find a way to get paid for doing that thing that you yourself are uniquely gifted and qualified for, that's when it's the best. Even if you do find something that you're passionate about and love doing and find a way to get money for it, there's still going to be ups and downs in that world. That's just the way God planned it. I love selling and I love teaching sales. I love the report. Brian, I did exactly what you told me to do and I got amazing results. I get that report a lot of times. Okay. Makes me, but even though I'm doing what I'm passionate about, even though I can earn a significant income and I earn a great income already doing what I do, what I'm passionate about, I still have ups and downs and I am not atypical. I'm probably very typical that way. Zamara says, like a Bitcoin advisor job. What if he had a Bitcoin advisor's job? Wouldn't that be great? Because he wants to talk Bitcoin anyway. That's one challenge. You're not passionate about it. The other challenge is you're not in control of your time. You're just not. The idea they could tell you you have a break from 10:30 to 10:45 and you take your lunch at 1 to 1:30 and you're here at 8 or 9 or whatever time they say you start. That's someone else's schedule that you signed up to be a part of. Sister Lena says, admittedly, I have struggled with wimpy syndrome for years. Considering how broad and diverse and badass my clientele has become, I know would be a lot further quicker if I flexed my hefty side more. I am a lion that acts like a cat because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable with my roar. Regarding your question, people settle for jobs because they haven't been shown how to find the job that fixes the problem they love to settle. Amen, amen, and amen to that. Um, Sister Lena, thank you for that transparency. But I will tell you, you're much closer than you think. The difference between the cat and the lion in your scenario there is the lion has an attitude of being a lion. The lion is not, I love this, and I got this from Dr. Miles Monroe. The lion is not the biggest, the lion is not the strongest, the lion is not the smartest in the jungle. None of those things. Again, the lion is not the biggest, not the smartest, not the strongest. But when the lion sees that Cape buffalo, he thinks, I can eat that. That could be my food. The lion looks at the big old giraffe thinking, we can eat that. Okay. That's the lion's mindset. They see the big bad animal, they think lunch. Okay. That's right. Thank you, Lisa. Lunch. That's what Lisa and I shared while listening to that together. They think lunch. That's the lion's mindset. To get from a cat mindset to the lion mindset for you, Sister Lena, it's not just your mindset. It's you just need to be taught some stuff. Once you learn some stuff, Lena, you will become more confident and you will move from cat. I appreciate you accepting that you've been wimpy for a long time because you haven't asked for business. That is wimpy in my opinion. Not asking for business is wimpy. Brother Peter Beckenham, thank you for joining me today. I love Peter Beckenham. Peter, you are watching me in my natural habitat. Coffee and a cigar, talking, selling, and sales. Peter says, Brian K. McNeil, I love your passion and enthusiasm. Your personality is contagious. Whoop, whoop. Thank you for saying that, Peter. Peter is a sales guru as well. Him and I had a wonderful conversation Friday, I believe it was. Now, normally I'm off and on. Like my schedule, 30 minutes is only on a schedule with me. Okay. Phone calls are brief because I use them to prepare for stuff. But I was enjoying talking to Peter so much. 45, 50, maybe longer than 50 minutes, we were on the Zoom conversation together. It's because I was enjoying it so much. I didn't want to leave the conversation. That's why Lisa would know. She goes, that's my baby. Get hefty, hefty, hefty. I'm liking the theme, but you get hefty by two things. One is learning how to be hefty and choosing to adopt a mindset that you can have that. I mentioned before, I'm going to cover what you said, Dr. Deborah. I mentioned before that old school trope that doesn't work anymore about the ABCs of selling. A always B, B, C closing, always be closing. I said to you that doesn't work. But there is a new ABCs of selling. And if you're one of the people who write stuff down, what I'm about to say, you want to write down the new ABCs of selling. Dr. Deborah Dunson says, I like being in control of my time, but I had to learn how to bring in the money to pay myself better. I got stuck with just the feel good. Hallelujah. So many of us get stuck with that. We should expand on that more. But even when I was passionate, I found that for me, money was a necessary outcome. Um, Getting stuck with the feel good is a very real thing. allowing yourself to be complimented and not compensated, allowing yourself to be feel good with the applause, but no money coming behind it. That is a very real thing, Dr. Deborah Dunstan, and I'm so happy that you have to mature. You have to get past that. You're so great, but I'm not going to pay you anything. Lisa says you need both impact and income. The revolution must be financed. Let me tell you the new ABCs of selling, and I do want you to write these things down. The new ABCs of selling. The A stands for the word attunement. Attunement. Fancy word, right? Attunement. Attunement. Can you see your business the way a potential client would see your business? Can you see it the way they would see it? When they look at your business, what do they see? Are you attuned with what they see when they see you? And is it easy for them to do business with you? Can they do business with you without going through loops and hurdles? Are you attuned with the process of working with you? That's the new A then in the new ABCs of selling. Attunement. Can you see it the way they see you? When you see that person that you want to do business with, what is the process? Is it hard for them to do business with you? Do you even know what they're looking at or for? One of the great sales speaking trainers that I love is a guy named Benji Bruce. And he says, you have to look like you can ask for $10,000 in online and in person. You have to look like you can ask for it. That's such a simple concept, but it does do a lot for you. Sister Lisa says, oh, say that again. Complimented and not compensated. Lisa also puts in, thank you, baby. Attunement. Can you see your business the way a client sees you? And is it easy to do business with you? That matters greatly because you have competition. And people do take what's called the avenue of least resistance. They will take the avenue of least resistance. That's one of the reasons why the dating game is so jacked up. I'm so grateful that I found my queen. But the way the dating game is set up today, online dating and dating sites, and there's a lot of them. You want to roll the way I want to roll? Nope, next. You want to roll the way I want to roll? Nope, next. You want to answer questions the way I want to answer them? Next. They just swipe. I don't know if left or right is the right way or not, but what it does is creates an environment where no one wants to develop anything.
I think left is pass.
Left is pass, right is accept. How do you know?
I think it makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense. Okay, whatever it is. Left is pass, right is accept. Okay, but we're in a swipe left and right dating environment. And what that does is, and it would do it for me too. If I was in the dating market, I'd be the same. I would be rifling through them fast. Left. Lisa said 5 kids under 7 years old. Okay, that's going to come with some challenges and time. Some people are with that. Some people are not. Okay. But anyway, attunement is the A, and the new ABCs are selling. The B stands for buoyancy. 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 Can you stay afloat during the storm? Can you keep it going when the water is not smooth? And buoyancy is primarily boils down to a question. Here's the question when things are going. Here's the question. And it's a question that you ask yourself. The question is, can I do this? Can I do this thing that I'm endeavoring to do? Can I do it? Do I have the requisite skills, gifts, talents, experience, know-how, energy, confidence, courageousness? Do I have what it takes to do this? But can I do this is the central question that you ask yourself in the new B's of selling. Can you stay afloat during the storm? And can I do this? Buoyancy. The new ABCs of selling. I really appreciate Lisa putting that up there. The A stands for attunement. Can you see it the way they will see it? And is it easy to work with you? The B stands for buoyancy. Can you keep your head above water? Can you stay afloat? Can you be buoyant? Things that are buoyant in the water, a dinghy, whatever, that's buoyant in the water. It doesn't matter what storm comes. It doesn't even matter how far down the water or the waves push that buoyant thing. It can push it way down, but it's gonna come up because it is buoyant. Because it is buoyant. It doesn't matter what kind of storm. That buoyant thing is gonna come up out of the storm because it is buoyant. That's the thing. What is that? Okay, that's the thing. So the A stands for attunement, the B stands for buoyancy, the C stands for clarity. Clarity. And the C is probably the most important one. Clarity. Ask the right question. Clarity. Clarity. Ask the right question. Clarity. Solve the right problem. Helping your clients to see what is the right problem instead of just the surface problem. The C stands for clarity and it matters. In my career, I have often had an insurance agency say to me, Brian, my guys don't know how to close sales. Sales closes are down, the percentages are off. Can you give us a workshop? Can you teach my guys how to close sales? And I will tell you, Lean, I will tell you, Peter, when they asked me to come in and do a workshop on how to close sales, I would go there and I would teach them the four chances you get to overcome an objection. I would teach them a 5 step process of overcoming any objection. I would teach them the 2 sales closes that I want in their sales arsenal. And they'd be all excited and I would get paid and I would leave there feeling very proud of my work. And I realized really in the last 2 to 3 years, even though I've been teaching sales for a long time, I realized that wasn't the right way. I mean, well, it wasn't the wrong way. It wasn't the wrong way. But I should have asked one more question. And here's the question I should have asked Peter. When they said, Brian, my guys can't close sales, I should have said, how many times do your guys offer your services or offer your products? I've learned in the last few years, Lena, to ask, how often are you offering it? Offering it. Well, in the last month, I've offered it once or twice. How about the last 2 months? Maybe 3 or 4 times. You don't have a problem with closing. You're not making enough offers. You don't even know if you're bad at closing or not because you're not offering it enough. That was the issue. And if I had that time to do over again, Dr. Deborah, I would have learned to get clarifying questions, the right question, helping their clients get clarity on what is the real problem. And really, that's why they need you because they don't know the real problem yet. They think they do, and they may have it right, but of just a few questions, you could determine if that's the real right problem. Lisa submits how many offers are they making? Your problems with offers. Dr. Deborah says, I can admit that I don't offer enough. That's the key. That's the key. You got to offer it. You got to give them a chance to say no to you. Can you give them a chance to say no? First off, and those of you guys who are entrepreneurial, this is going to be funny and a little bit quirky and more closer. But how often has any client even told you no? Have you even heard anybody say no to you and your services in a long time? When you offered your services, anybody ever said the words to you, or recently, Dr. Deborah, within years, has anybody that you offered to help actually said the words no? They don't say no anymore. That's a secret. They don't say no. They'll say everything else, but they won't say no. Why? Because no is too final. If what you're offering has any redeeming qualities at all, they don't want to say no, and they won't say no. They'll give you, let me think about it. I got to do this, this, and this first. I got to find that and the other. They will give you alibis or excuses, but they won't say the word no. Just think about that with me. When last time you even heard it? Maybe at one time in this country, you heard the words no more often, but not anymore. Okay. I wanted to come on here and have a cigar with you. I wanted to talk shop with you guys, and I'm still enjoying it. Has anyone found any value in this time with me? Has anyone picked up a nugget or two that means something for them? If you picked up a nugget or two, if you found value, I'd appreciate if you put it in the comments because I want to read what you got out of this time. Dr. Deborah says, come to think of it, I haven't heard anyone say no in a while. You're right. This is a different time. This is a different time. They don't want to say yes either, like that, other than if you ask them directly. Then they want to. Do you realize that people love to buy? They love to spend money. They love to own. They do. They want to, which means they love to be sold. Sister Sheila, what's up, Sheila? How long you been on here? Sheila will be in the room and not say something until. And when she does say something, it means something. She goes, reinforce the idea of offers. Amen. Sister Lena says, I'm with Deborah. I don't make enough offers. In my youth, I did. I shoot my shot, but it's the subtle approach. Yes, I am getting lots of nuggets. I will watch this again. Amen, Lena. Shirley says, ask for the business. Here's how I want you to ask. I want you to simply say these words. Will you give my services a try? You say that once you believe they fully understand the value of what you offer. Once they understand what they're getting. If they don't understand what they're getting, don't ask for the business. Don't tell them your rates either. I love a cigar. Woo-hoo. I think of a good day if I have at least one, but if I get two cigars in a day, it's even better. Today, I get two cigars in. I'm doing this one today, and that's going to be it for me. Sister Lisa says, I realized that I have mistakenly held off on the close. When I believe I have a strong pending closes, when I hold off on the close, when I believe I have strong pending closes, in defense to the pending prospect and my available time. And that's the beautiful thing. Thank you, Lisa, for saying that, because that right there is an example of what Dr. Deborah mentioned earlier about the feeling good thing. You want to keep feeling good. You believe they're feeling good right now. You want to keep that going, and you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. Okay. They sounded positive. They were encouraging. They said we might. Let's let this ride until. And we all have degrees of that, even me. And I know better, but not that often. But I still have it from time to time too. I am excited about yesterday. I committed a sales crime with the client, a co-owner of a business. They have a business that's international, all throughout the United States and Canada. It's a big company. And I was talking to one of the owners of the company, and he was impressed with what I had. He liked me. He liked what I had to offer. And he says, give him a quote. And I thought he wanted me to train everybody in a series of stuff. So I quoted him a rate that I would do an event for, like a conference. And it was much higher than what he wanted. So he was nice about it. He goes, well, I'll get back with you, but he didn't. So fast forward, that was 3 months ago, but I really wanted that business. That was 3 months ago. Yesterday, I got lucky. God delivered to me the partner, the other one that I didn't meet before, but I'd seen this picture. I'd been to their website. I knew his name. I knew what the company did. I knew what he spoke about. Because I'd done I'd done the research. And as I was talking to this man, I realized I knew who he was. I knew who his business partner was. So I did my thing. Sister Lena, I was talking with him, and he also was impressed, just like his business partner was. And then he says, look, man, maybe we could talk some more about this. We have people that I really believe need your help, just like his partner said. And I said, well, I got to say something to you. I know who you are. I know your company because I met one of the co-owners. You met the guy in the cowboy hat. Yes, I did. And I said, I made a mistake with him. I misunderstood what he wanted from me at the time. And I quoted him a rate much higher than what he was asking for. Because I thought he was asking for one thing. Turns out he was asking for something else. So I realized I made a mistake with him and we lost touch. He goes, well, no. Let's get back together. Because now both owners have had it. He said, let's get back together. I want to bring him in. I want to let him know I talked with you and we can get this working together. So I'm excited to have another opportunity for this big company that I want to work with. Dr. Deborah submits, Brian, thank you for this. These nuggets are going to help me later today when I meet with the two prospects that I'm seeing today. Dr. Deborah, I'm excited about you meeting with two prospects today. The simplicity of selling. It's simple. When you have someone that can potentially do business with you, you have to ask for the business. You have to ask for the business. One of the things is, thank you for this opportunity. I really believe this is going to be good. I think I can be serving you well. I think this is just what you need. Can we give it a try? I like to say, I say this like, look, I understand what you're wanting, and I've talked with you long enough that I want to work with you. I think this is a good fit. Can we give it a try? I don't know. I want to work with them. I want you to hire me. It's obvious, but I like to say it. I like to say it. And it is going to help you today. I would ask my sister, Dr. Deborah, to resolve to enjoy your prospects. Resolve before you get in front. I'm going to enjoy these people. You feel thought that I'm going to enjoy them, and you're resolved that you're not leaving their presence without leaving, at least giving them a chance to say yes, without giving them a chance to say no. You're going to enjoy them, and you're going to give them an opportunity to work with you, and you're going to have a great result. You're going to have a great result. Sister Sheila says, I don't get no's outright. No, you don't. I have a potential client who requested a service, gave me a date and time. She said my price was fair. She also said I had to take her, she said, also said, I had to take to her board. As of today, I've not heard back. Now what? Now, this is a great question for me. I enjoy this question. Sister Sheila, there's a difference between objections and conditions. An objection is an excuse. Can't afford it, too busy, whatever. Excuse, those are objections. A condition is a valid reason why they can't move forward. I got to talk it over my business partner. I got to talk it over my wife, and the business partner and the wife are not there. They have, and you can't produce them. You can't bring them there. That's a condition that you can't overcome. What you can do is, Sister Sheila, you can't go to her board, okay? But what you can do is do two things. One is you can keep yourself on her mind. You have to lovingly touching her, keep touching her. Now, when sales are made, they have to be made sometimes more than once. So whatever reason she said, yes, I like the rates. Okay, that's fine. If time elapses, I'm talking about more than a week, she's gonna have to be resold again. You're gonna have to explain to her again why this is a good idea. You have to sell it again. And if another week come and go, it's gonna have to be sold again because the information doesn't keep. One thing you could do is keep yourself on their mind. And the other thing you could do is not forget about them. You're not going to let them forget you, and you're not going to forget about them. Those are selling rules. Rule number one is don't forget about a potential client. Rule number two is not let a potential client forget about you. The game is not over. Okay. Right now it's still in limbo. So this is going to be a longer sales process because you can't produce the board. You can't address the board. If you could address the board, that's one thing. But if you can't, you have to rely on them, and they're creating a condition that you can't overcome. That's not an excuse. That's something there. Now, what scares entrepreneurs is the idea that they're going to run out of potential leads. Sometimes when we have too few prospects, we fret over one. So what I would suggest to you, Sister Sheila, is keep doing your work. Go for more prospects. Stay in touch with them, but don't get twisted up as if they're the only clients you have, or you only have two or three potential business clients. If you have enough of them that you're working, it won't bother you as much. That's a natural entrepreneurial fear that they're going to run out of potential clients. They're going to run out, but you're not going to. Sister Lena says, so I would love to see not a TED talk, but a McNeil talk on how to effectively ask for sponsorship for an endeavor and grants. I'm in the final round for a local government-based grant, and I want to make sure I sell it hard so they can't refuse. By the way, I see you doing the name mentioning technique. Yes. Sister Lena Janelle, I want to tell you a quick story. And this is a story I've told often. And I hope Dr. Deborah is still on here for this story. A father walks into his 6-year-old son's room. Toys are everywhere, all over the room. Dad stands in the doorway, looks in the room, toys all over the room. He says, "Son, put all your toys back in the toy box and then push that toy box back up against the wall." So the son did what his dad did, and dad stood there the whole time. The kid picks every toy up, fills up the toy box with toys, and he attempts to push the toy box back against the wall, but he cannot because the box is too heavy. He says, "I can't move it, Dad. It's too heavy." He says, "Well, son, why don't you use all of your strength?" So the kid bears down. He pushes harder, and the box can't hardly move. He says, "Dad, I'm using all my strength." He says, "No, you're not." "Yes, I am." He says, "Son, I'm your father, and I love you, and I'm standing right here. If you had just asked me to help you, I'd have been glad to help you. You and I together could definitely move this box. I am a part of your strength." Now, I told you that story, Lena Janelle, because on this live feed right now, we have Dr. Deborah Dunstan. And Dr. Deborah Dunstan is an award-winning grant funder. She's won awards on raising money for nonprofits. I think I can be helpful, but I think you'd be served to have a conversation with Dr. Deborah Dunstan because that's what she does. Okay, that's what she does, Lena. You think you believe I could be helpful, but Dr. Deborah Dunstan, that's what she does. And she's done it for a long time. She's been in the game 20, 30 years, helping nonprofits in all different capacities. Not only, and she's done all the jobs. So not only does she know how to raise money, but she knows what it takes to give money. She's told us stories about sometimes she's challenged in finding a nonprofit that they can award money to It's a process. She looked out and said, "Thanks." Dr. Deborah said, "I'm still here listening. Thank you." Lena Janelle says, "Wow," in all caps and exclamation points. I didn't know that. That's a phenomenal, Dr. Deborah. Dr. Deborah Dunstan is a part of my strength. She's a resource for me when I know how to sell, but she knows the nonprofit world. She knows that world. Even when I get a client that's in nonprofit, and I do, I am grateful that I can reach out to my friend and ask her a question. Dr. Deborah, see, some people won't understand this. Lena Janelle says, in my Joan Rivers voice, "Can we talk? Can we talk?" That's Joan Rivers' voice. Dr. Deborah Dunn says, "Yep, giving money away is hard work." The average layperson wouldn't even realize that. They wouldn't even realize it's hard work to give away money because there's got to be qualified. They got to be qualified. I've heard Dr. Deborah Dunn say those words. They got to be in a position where they can receive the money. They got to be qualified. And she knows what that is like the back of her hand. That's a funny expression to me. I know this like the back of my hand. How often do you even look at the back of your hand? Do you? If you get your nails done, you see it inadvertently. I used to have a birthmark on the back of my hand. I hardly can remember which hand the birthmark was on. It was on this one. And you can barely see it now because I'm advanced in age. But it was more prominent as a child. It was a really prominent. It looked like the side of a gorilla's head on the back of my right hand, and I could still barely see it. But I don't even hardly look at the back of my hand. So that's a popular expression. I know it like the back of my hand. Really? Sister Lena says, "I am working with a nonprofit now on this grant. They're my fiscal agent," with an exclamation point. Dr. Deborah, can I get your info? Sister Lena, make a move. You make the move, Lena. You reach out to her. You know of at least one way you can reach her because you have her Facebook link. Send her a message. Reach out. Okay. The universe rewards all of your efforts. All of your efforts will get rewarded. Your efforts all of the time. That's why people like Tony Robbins and can say if you're in a funk and things are not working, the formula is take massive action. Take massive action to get yourself out of a funk. Just take a lot of action. Stuff that would normally take you a week or 2 weeks to get done, try to get it done in 2 days. Take a lot of actions to get yourself out of funk. Financial deficit, take a lot of action. Okay, moves, make moves. Even if the moves don't really work right now, what you're doing is you're stirring up the ground. You're stirring up the gift. Take some actions. Lena Janelle says, I can't see anyone else's comments in the feed but mine for some reason.
They're on a different thread.
They're on a different thread, but her name is Dr. Deborah, and those first two words are together. Drdebra Dunstan. Find her. You don't want to rob yourself of putting some effort in. Do the work. Connect with her. Reach out with her. Just like with me. Do the work. Lena says you and I have become friends. There was a guy you did a caricature for, and he took a picture with his caricature, and he was so excited to have it. And he's like, "Thank you, Lena." Da 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 da. And I felt this morning when I saw that, I felt a twinge of jealousy.
Oh,
I did because you've done a beautiful caricature of my wife. I've been a fan of your work for years, and I've never gotten one myself. Oh, I felt, man, lucky him. He got one. Lena's gonna reach out today, and Dr. Deborah did a step for you. Okay, she made a move. She says, Lena, I just sent you a friend request. So checkers. Dr. Deborah made a move. I introduced her. That's one move. She's here in the feed listening. She made a move and reached out to you. Uh, Lena Janelle says, I already did one free. So one free what? You did one free character? She's talking about for Lisa. That was free. Okay, fine. So I don't even know what it would cost me. Okay. I don't know what I gotta do, but I don't have one. I like the ones you did about Lisa though. I saved them. But I don't have one. Uh, why don't I have one? How much of that is my fault? If I could, I do anything I want. If I follow up with Lena, if I had not violated sales rules, I could have probably had one years ago. Lena says, I'm learning from you, Brian. Amen. You can learn from me. The value that you've gotten from learning from me, Lena, was any of it worth any money? Was it worth $1? Was it worth $2? I believe the stuff that I teach is worth a lot more than that because the stuff that I teach, Lena, I believe you will benefit from it now, but also next week, next month, next year, and even for the rest of your career. Because I teach immediately actionable principles. Principles endure. Styles change, but principles endure. Popular methods change, but principles endure. You have to ask for the business as a principle, and those things are not going to go away. Okay, immediately actionable and get a result with right away. So the principles I've taught you, are they worth anything to you? The principles that I've learned that I teach, I didn't get it right away. It took some effort. I had to bleed and sweat for this. I had to read a lot of books. I had to miss a lot of sales. I had to fail a lot. I had to stress a lot to get to the place where I can confidently dispense this. Lena says, absolutely. Your wisdom is priceless. So is my gift. We can barter. Well, let's keep the game going with Lena. Well, right now, I think I'm up because I've given you a lot of value, but I still don't have my caricature. Lisa's telling me, woo, chill, chill, be chill. Um, Lena says, I value what you and Lisa have shared more than y'all know. And we appreciate that very much. And you've done your part too. You've shown yourself to be friendly, Lena. And we appreciate you very much. You've shared our word. You spoke well of us. You've shown yourself to be friendly. Thank you. Um, my stick is gone. Let me tell you why I love cigars. 2004. 2004 is when I got introduced to cigars. 20 years ago. Wow. 2004. A friend of mine who was also a business person, who was also an entrepreneur, he had been telling me, Brian, you got to come hang out in a cigar bar with us. What do you mean? I don't smoke cigars. Because you ain't got to smoke a cigar. Just come hang out with us. Then they got a bunch of these old heads, these entrepreneurs, And these stories, they just be telling business stories about businesses that they bought and sales they made. They just tell these stories, man. You got to come, because I was telling stories too. And they were saying, "Man, you got to come and just hear these stories." And it was just like he said. I went. It was very plush cigar lounge. It had nice leather chairs, and he just like he said, had a bunch of old men telling war stories. They were telling war stories about sports. They were telling war stories about business, and I was just transfixed, just like he knew I would be 20 years ago. I was listening to these guys cursing and telling stories and laughing, and it was just like the scene. It was like I was hooked on the scene before I ever had a cigar. And so I was going there with him. I'd went a couple of times just to hear what these guys had to say. And then I was standing there listening to the stories, and some guy put a cigar in my hand. It was a white man. I don't know what he looked like. I know he's white. He handed me a cigar. He says, "Try this." The cigar was an Acid Cuba Cuba, which is a very sweet cigar. Very sweet, smells sweet. And man, I found these, man, try this. And he handed it to me. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know the guy. He handed me a stick. Just like about selling drugs, first one's free. He handed me a stick. And my buddy told me what to do. He says, just bring it in your mouth and blow it out. Don't inhale. And I did that, and it was wonderful. I enjoyed it. So I now then from then on, I became an enthusiast. But it started with me trying one. Yes, you did, Lena. She goes, I invested in your partner though, and I appreciate that very much. I'm gonna let that go for right now, Lena, because part of me wants to close harder, but I'm gonna let it. Part of me wants to keep playing, so I'm gonna let it go right now. But that's my cigar journey. Lena also says, Bishop tonight. Ooh, I would love to make my pitch to you both soon. You and Lisa dropped diamonds for real, for real. Thank you very much. Now, uh, I love stand-up comedians. Okay, I love Chris Rock because he teaches a lot. I love Dave Chappelle. And Lena, take this in the loving spirit. Dave Chappelle had this thing about I don't even really like to watch other comedians perform that much. I don't like to watch them perform that much. And he says the reason why is because for to me, because he's so good at it, he's like the best. He says me watching other comedians, and how do I say it not be crass. He says watching other comedians is like watching somebody else have sex with your girl. Because you think I could do it better than that. But they're doing it. Okay, they're doing it to your girl, and you know you're better at it than him, but he's still doing it to your girl. It's because he loves comedy. I love selling and everything around it. So I teach and preach people to let go of the negative connotations that go around selling. Things like pitching is a concept that I believe is past tense. I tell my people, don't pitch ever. Stop pitching. You don't want to pitch. You want to tell your story. What would you rather hear? A pitch or a story? It's always a story. So I don't even want you to pitch. Well, most people don't even say the word pitch. It sends a charge of angst through the center of their body. I gotta go pitch. Okay. Even the term elevator pitch, I don't even like it. Okay. Because selling is my girl. Tell your story. Stop pitching and tell your story. I wrote an article on LinkedIn right now called Stop Pitching in all caps and then tell your story. Got like a stop sign there and all that. Stop pitching. Tell your story. I'd rather hear your story than your pitch. You would rather hear a story than a pitch. Linda says, "Oh, I received that. Thank you. Thank you for receiving it in the spirit that I delivered it." Watching someone else have sex with your girl? Oh, it wouldn't be fun. I'd want to kill somebody. But his thought, I could do her better than that. Is she mine? I think their illustration fits though. Say, baby.
I think it is.
Lisa believes it fits too. Lena says, "You told me that before. Let me write it down so I won't forget next time." Yeah, stop pitching. Tell your story. You know, Lena, give yourself some grace right now too. I want you to give yourself some grace, and I want you to be more patient with yourself. Even clients of mine that pay for my stuff, and really, even clients of mine that not only pay for it and take it serious, with some time elapsed, I catch them not doing what they learned. I talked to a guy the other day. He took training with me probably 6 months ago. And I called him. I said, "So what do you do, man, for a living?" He goes, "Well, I do insurance and I do this." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "That's not the right answer." He goes, "Oh. You know how there's so many people that are completely confused about that?" Then he went into his story that I taught him. But what happened was time elapsed and he deviated to his comfort level. Learning how to tell his story was helpful to him, but it wasn't as comfortable for him to just be flippant. I do insurance. When you say I do insurance, you're making yourself common like everyone else who does insurance. He had forgotten because he didn't get enough reinforcement. We stopped training. We stopped training. And I didn't have a vehicle at the time to keep him plugged in an affordable way. I have one now. I have one now that my wife and I are building where people can keep getting consistent training without costing them a lot, you know, and group, consistent stuff.
That's okay.
But that's what happened. So I want you to give yourself some grace, Lena, and any one of you guys. You don't remember every. How often did it take you to learn how to walk? How long did it take you to learn how to tie your shoes? Give yourself some grace. Be patient with yourself. The reminders that you get, whether it's from me or from anyone else, those are good. Oh yeah, I remember that. Those consistent reminders. That's amazing. You need those. You need as many of those you can get. Those reminders. Years ago, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. Actually, when pandemic started, I was doing these um, talking sales over cigars, and I was doing it on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Talking sales over cigars, and I was enjoying doing it. And for whatever reason, uh, and it got to the point where we were getting these people there. We were like Arthur Lynette was in the room regularly. I had regulars talking cigars over coffee. I mean, talking sales over cigars. I had regular people in the room coming every week. And what happened was I didn't do it one Saturday. Next thing you know, I didn't do it 2 Saturdays. And next thing you know, I'm not doing it at all. Lena Janelle says, "Yeah, give yourself some grace. You ain't supposed to master this right away." This morning on our show with Lisa, we talked about how uh, how people can learn something from me or from anybody, learn it and then try to go teach it as if they know it and jack it up horribly. It's happened to me. I had a lady, and I talked about her this morning, and I can't never get this out of my head. I taught this lady how to tell her story, and I did a few things, and she was in a formal workshop. It was a group workshop, it wasn't one on one. She was in a workshop. And then she left me and had to go to one of her meetings, and she tried to teach the people at her meeting what she had just learned from me. And then she called me back and says, "Brian, I just did the same thing you did. It didn't work at all. It didn't make sense to them. They understand it. It didn't work." I'm like, "What did you tell them?" And she said, "Well, I told them what you said." I said, "Okay, what did you say?" And then I had to say to her, "I didn't say that. That's not what I said." She heard it one time, and then she had to run it through her personal filter, and she added to and took away from some stuff, and it wasn't what I was teaching. So I was like so discouraged. I'm like, "Oh my God, you don't know enough to teach it yet. You just learned it yourself." So it takes some reinforcement. Now, if that lady had touched some reinforcement, had gotten some questions answered, then she probably would have been equipped where she could. But like that didn't work. A cigar is like your woman. If you noticed, I have to keep lighting it from time to time. I have to keep putting fire to it from time to time. And why is that? Because a cigar requires some attention. It's not like a cigarette. A cigarette don't need any attention. Once you light the cigarette one time, you can sit in an ashtray and then just keep burning until it's done. A cigar, once you light it, you got to puff on it. You got to give it some attention. You got to puff on it regularly enough. Some cigars require more puffs than others. But if I don't regularly give this cigar some attention, she's going to go out. And then when I go to puff on it, there'll be no smoke. Then I have to put more fire to it. So this particular cigar doesn't like to be left alone for very long. She needs some attention. And isn't it like a lot of things? Not you. I'm talking about my cigar.
I know.
You don't know.
That's why I looked at you like that.
I'm talking about my cigar. This particular cigar needs some attention because I'm having to keep lighting. I'm not giving it enough
You're
attention.
not puffing enough on it.
Right.
You need to put your mouth on
I got to put my mouth on it often enough.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
See, I could have said something about another comedian.
Lord.
Got to put your mouth on it. I heard a comedian saying, you don't have to put your mouth on your woman unless you want to keep her.
How about that?
If you don't put your mouth on a woman, you're going to lose her like you lose a set of keys. You got to give it some love and attention. Lena Janelle thought something was funny. She says, hey, Lisa, give yourself some grace. That's right, Lena. That's another thing I love about you, Lena. People like you, Lena, who are fully participatory, who choose to take part in what's going on, they learn better because you're participating. They learn better. They get more out of it. So I'm about done with my stick. So I'm going to say thank you for your time and attention. Selling is a simple game, but there's some stuff you got to learn. You got to learn how to offer first. Find someone to offer to us first. Finding someone to offer to, and then the formality of offering it to them, going through closing efforts, and following up. That's about it. Blocking and tackling. Thank you very much for your time with me today. I enjoyed my cigar and my coffee more because you were here. Thank you.